If you're waking up stiff, aching in places that you never used to, or feeling like your body just isn't bouncing back, well, this is not just aging. It could be menopause quietly weakening your bones and grinding down your joints. But the good news, you're not powerless. Far from it. And in this episode, I'm giving you the Mr. Menopause approved plan to take back strength, stability, and control, because brittle bones and creaky joints are not your destiny. I'm Tafiq Akhir, Mr. Menopause here, and welcome to the Mr. Menopause Show. Hey there, it's Tafiq Akhir, Mr. Menopause here, and this is the Mr. Menopause Show on Bold Brave TV. And today we are talking about something that you're probably not hearing enough about, but that you absolutely should, because while everyone's focusing on hot flashes, mood swings, and night sweats, and look, yes, those do matter, but what we're not talking about, though, is the way that menopause impacts your bones and your joints. And look, let me tell you, if you don't understand this piece of the puzzle, you might be missing the reason why you're waking up in pain, feeling stiff, or struggling to move like you used to. And again, I want to welcome you to the show, because now I want you to just know that I understand that talking about bone health and joint health, it might not sound sexy, and you're definitely not going to see a TikTok influencer doing dance trends about joint pain, right? But here's the deal. This isn't just about getting older. It's about what's happening inside your body that you were never told to expect. So let's take a moment to get honest. Have you noticed your knees hurt more when you go down the stairs than up? Have you stood up and needed to take a moment to get your bearings because your joints felt tight? Have you avoided a workout, not from laziness, but because your hips or your shoulders felt like they were screaming at you, or started second guessing movement altogether because it feels like your body is betraying you when you try? Now, if any of this sounds familiar, well, this episode is for you. And let me just say this. If no one has validated what you're feeling, I'm going to do that for you right now. You are not making it up. It's not just aging. It's not just wear and tear. It's your hormones and your body's desperate call for support. Now, let me tell you about Rochelle. Rochelle came to me after a seemingly minor fall in her kitchen. She slipped, reached out to break her fall, and snapped her wrist. Now, here's what's wild. Rochelle was active. She was careful and wasn't dealing with what anyone would consider to be high-risk lifestyle activities. So why did her wrist break so easily? You guessed it, bone loss due to menopause. And here's what made her furious. No one even told her this could happen. Not a doctor, not a nurse, not a trainer. And look, she's not alone. She had been to physical therapy. She'd been doing stretching with stretch coaches, and she'd been given pain medication, but no one connected the dots between her hormonal shifts and the weakening in her bone matrix. And this isn't a rare case. This is happening every day. See, a lot of women assume that joint pain or injuries are just part of aging, but aging is not the villain here. Unaddressed hormonal changes are. And the longer we delay talking about this, the more damage is done in silence. Bone fractures aren't just injuries, they are re-wake-up calls. And for many women, they're the first clue that something deeper is going on hormonally. But by that point, you're playing catch up. And we should not be waiting until women are hurt in order to talk about prevention. Now, here's the truth. Estrogen plays a critical role in maintaining bone density. It helps to regulate the process of breaking down and rebuilding bone tissue. When your estrogen levels drop, this happens during perimenopause, but it crashes during menopause, and your body starts breaking down more bone than it builds. That puts you at risk for other conditions like osteopenia and osteoporosis. Now, studies show that up to 20% of a woman's bone mass can be lost during the first 5 to 7 years of menopause. Now, that's not just gradual aging, that is a hormonal landslide. And let's take it a step further, because your bones aren't just the scaffolding holding you upright. They are living tissue. They're metabolically active. And when they're not nourished or supported or even challenged through movement and strength training, well, they weaken quietly, consistently until one day they fail. And bone isn't something that you feel getting weaker. It doesn't send out a plain flare or a pop up on a blood test. Most women don't realize anything is changing until they fall. And then they're told, oh, you have osteoporosis. Well, that's not support, that's neglect. And that's why this conversation matters. This kind of loss doesn't usually come with flashing warning lights, like I said. It's silent. No symptoms until a fracture of bone or doing something that you've done 100 times before, right? And by then, you're already in recovery mode. And that's why this conversation is so important, like I said, because bone loss and joint degradation are preventable. They are manageable, but only if you know that they're happening. But bones aren't the only issue here. Let's talk about your joints. Estrogen also affects the production of collagen, which is a major component of joint cartilage. It keeps your joints cushioned, flexible, and well lubricated. When estrogen drops, inflammation increases. Collagen production slows down, and the cushioning between your joints and your bones, well, they start to wear down. What does that mean for you, though? It means that the pain in your hands, the stiffness in your knees, and the aching in your hips are not just wear and tear. They're the result of hormonal disruption. Have you ever gone to open a jar and felt like your hands just couldn't grip like they used to, or woken up with stiff fingers that loosen up later in the day? That's not sleeping funny. That's a hormonal story that your joints are trying to tell you. And if you've been told it's just arthritis or fibromyalgia or normal for your age without a hormone panel, without a discussion about estrogen's role, without a treatment plan that includes a lifestyle and strength interventions, well, you've been dismissed, period. I once worked with a woman in her late 40s who was given anxiety meds when she reported joint pain and fatigue. Not once did they check her hormone levels, but after 6 months of working together with me, through education, strength training, and anti-inflammatory support, she not only felt better, she got off the meds that she never should have been on in the first place. And this is what education can do. This is what awareness can prevent. So let's connect the dots even further, because when your joints hurt, you move less. When you move less, you lose muscle. When you lose muscle, your bones suffer more. And let's not forget, muscle isn't just for strength. It's also for balance, for coordination, for injury prevention. And the number one cause of injury for older women? Falls. The number one reason for the falls? Poor balance, weak muscles, and unstable joints. It's a vicious cycle that affects your independence, your energy, your strength, and your confidence. And this spiral doesn't just show up in the gym. It shows up when you can't play with your grandkids on the floor, when you hesitate before going on a hike with your friends, and when you need help carrying groceries or opening jars. And this is what I mean when I say bone and joint health is menopause health. But here's another kicker. Most women, again, are not being warned. I've seen so many women who've been prescribed antidepressants, anxiety meds, painkillers, but not a single conversation about their bones, their joints, or their estrogen levels. That is a failure of the system. And it's why I do this show, because you deserve better. And if your body is changing, it's not a moral failure, right? It's not about willpower either. It's a biology. And biology can be supported. We just need to know what to ask for and what you should be looking for. So let me ask you this. Have you ever been offered a DEXA scan to check your bone density? Has a doctor talked to you about collagen, resistance training, or inflammation? Has anyone connected your joint pain to your hormones? And if not, let me first say you're not broken. What you are is underserved. And honestly, it pisses me off because it's avoidable. And it's predictable. And it's exactly what we should be talking about during every perimenopause and menopause conversation. You don't have to just accept that your body is falling apart, because it's not. It's adapting. And when you give it the right support, well, it's damn near unstoppable, right? So what do? You get informed. You take action, and you stop letting silence make the decisions for you, because joint pain, not inevitable. Bone loss, not untreatable. You have more power than you think. You just need a clear path. And that's what we're going to explore more in this episode. And coming up, I'm going to walk you through exactly what's happening biologically during menopause that leads to these changes. I'll show you what labs and scans to ask for, what symptoms to track, and how to have real conversations with your doctor that don't get brushed off. And then we'll talk about what works, the right kind of exercise, the real story on calcium and vitamin D, and powerful strategies to reduce inflammation and protect your mobility. But before we go there, I want to hear from you. If you're tuning in live or on a replay, drop a comment if you've ever had to deal with joint pain that you didn't expect, or fractures or falls that may have surprised you, or if no one warned you that this could be part of menopause in the first place, because you're not alone and you shouldn't have to figure this out in the dark. You're tuning in to the Mr. Menopause Show right now, broadcasting live on Bold Brave TV. I'm your host, Tafiq Akhir, Mr. Menopause, and after the break, we're going to dive into the science behind what's really happening to your bones and your joints in menopause and what you can start doing today to get your strength back. So don't go anywhere. We're going to be right back after this.
Do you feel confused, anxious, or overwhelmed by menopause? If the answer is yes, don't let menopause hold you back another moment. Take the first step in controlling your long-term vitality with Mr. Menopause's complimentary Menopause Readiness Quiz. Tafiq Akhir, widely known as Mr. Menopause, is a licensed, certified, and award-winning menopause strategist and the go-to source for reliable menopause support. He knows that our level of menopause awareness will determine whether we thrive through menopause or barely survive it. Go to menopausereadinessquiz.com to simply answer 20 quick questions to receive personalized insights about your level of menopause awareness and get the tools to confidently take control of your menopause journey and improve your overall quality of life. Complete the Menopause Readiness Quiz today.
All right, welcome back. Now, segment one gave you the wake-up call, then segment two is going to give you the map. Again, I'm Tafiq Akhir, Mr. Menopause here. You are watching the Mr. Menopause Show on Bold Brave TV. Now, let's go deep into what's really happening inside your body during menopause that impacts your bones and your joints. Not surface level stuff, not just take calcium. This is about the mechanisms, the cause, the cascade. Because if you don't understand what's driving the pain, the stiffness, and the fractures, then how can you ever be expected to manage it? And remember, this is not about memorizing medical terms either, right? This is about knowing your body well enough to advocate, to take action, and to never again be dismissed when you say something feels off. So let's start with the beginning. First, bone is not static, it's alive. So let's bust a myth right off the bat. Your bones are not lifeless structures like those Halloween skeletons hanging in science labs. Bone is living, dynamic tissue. It's constantly breaking down and rebuilding through a process called bone remodeling. And it's not just happening once in a while, it's happening every single day. It's happening right now. Two key players that run the show are osteoclasts, which break down old bone, and osteoblasts, which build new bone in its place. Now, here's where it gets crucial, though, because estrogen is the boss of the operation. It slows down the demolition crew and allows the builders to take time to do their job. Estrogen maintains the balance and the harmony. But when estrogen starts to drop during menopause, well, the demo crew goes into full-blown overtime, and the builders just can't keep up. And that's when bone loss starts to outpace bone growth, leaving your structure weaker from the inside out. And the scariest part is that you don't feel it. There's no pain, there's no warning until one day a sneeze cracks your rib. And that's not drama, right? That's real. It happened to one of my clients and she was stunned. And that's the thing. Bone responds to how you live. If you lift, move, or fuel your body properly, it strengthens. But if you're sedentary, stressed, or depleted, it weakens in silence. It's not about age, it's about awareness, right? You can't fix what you're not even told to look for. And for many women, menopause marks the moment when the balance silently shifts. Next is how hormones control more than just your mood, right? We often hear that menopause is just about estrogen dropping, but that's only the beginning. Menopause triggers a chain reaction across your entire hormonal ecosystem. And those shifts don't just affect your mood, they affect your muscles, your joints, your bones, your energy, and inflammation levels. Estrogen may be the headliner, but she's not the only player in this hormonal symphony. And let's take a look at the rest of the cast. First, progesterone, known for its calming effect, but also helps to regulate inflammation. When it declines, inflammation tends to rise, especially in your joints. Next is testosterone, supporting muscle mass and strength. Less testosterone means less muscle, which means less support for your bones. DHEA helps with tissue repair and resilience. As it drops, your ability to bounce back, well, it decreases as well. Then there's cortisol, right? This is your stress hormone. And when it stays elevated too long, it actually pulls calcium from your bones. And chronic stress, well, it's literally stealing your structure. Insulin, and as estrogen declines, many women experience insulin resistance, right? Which increases systematic inflammation and affects collagen production. And that's a key component, right? A key component of joint and connective tissue. So if you're thinking, why am I waking up stiff, sore, and foggy? Well, this is why. It's not your body breaking down for no reason. It's that your hormonal support system is shifting. Now, pair those changes with poor sleep, less movement, and high stress. Well, that's a perfect storm for joint pain, instability, and fatigue. But here's the empowering part. Once you understand the storm, you can learn how to weatherproof your body against it. Next is the inflammation link that most doctors overlook. Now, let's talk about one of the most powerful and overlooked drivers of pain during menopause, and that is inflammation. When estrogen declines, your body becomes more vulnerable to systematic inflammation, and that inflammation doesn't just hang out in your gut or cause bloating. It finds its way into your joints, your muscles, your ligaments, and even your nerves. And here's the kicker though. Chronic inflammation doesn't always present as a dramatic swelling or redness. It can be subtle, persistent, and painfully ignored. This is how it shows up. Morning stiffness that takes forever to shake off. Joint pain that seems to move around your body. Feeling sore after doing basically nothing. A diagnosis of early arthritis or fibromyalgia that doesn't feel quite right. You might be told it's aging, you might be prescribed medication, but the truth is, this could be hormone triggered inflammation, not a random breakdown. And let's layer in something else. Increased histamine sensitivity. Yep. Many women develop new allergies, rashes, and unexplained food reactions during menopause, and that's also inflammation. Estrogen helps to regulate histamine responses, and without it, your body can overreact to triggers that never used to bother you before. And this chronic low grade fire in your body slows down healing. It increases fatigue and makes your nervous system more reactive. So if you're feeling raw, itchy, or overly sensitive, your body isn't exaggerating, it's trying to speak up. And unfortunately, most doctors won't connect the dots, but now you can. Understanding inflammation as a menopause issue and not just a general health issue, well, it puts you one step closer to real relief. And next is why strength training is your secret weapon. Now, let's shift gears because we've talked about what's happening to your body. Now, let's talk about what you can do about it. The first answer isn't another supplement or some trendy detox, right? It's something far more powerful. Strength training. See, your bones aren't passive, they're responsive. And what they respond to most is load, weight, resistance, tension. Just like muscles grow stronger with challenge, bones get denser when stimulated through movement. The process is called Wolff's Law. Your bones adapt to the demands you place on them. No demand, they shrink, and consistent, safe resistance, they rebuild. But here's the catch. This doesn't require gym memberships or bodybuilding routines. You can start with small things like lifting your groceries intentionally, using resistance bands at home, climbing the stairs instead of avoiding them, practicing body weight movements like squats or wall push ups. See, this isn't about aesthetics, it's about longevity. Strong muscles support your joints. They stabilize your spine. They reduce your risk of falling and they boost your metabolism. And all of this starts with telling your body, I'm still here and I still need you. See, the myth that strength training is dangerous or too much for midlife women, well, you need to toss that out because what's truly dangerous is doing nothing while your bones silently lose density. And if you've been taught to shrink, to play small, or to focus only on cardio, it's time to rewrite that script because strong bones require strong muscles. And strength isn't about ego, it's about energy, balance, and independence. And let me tell you, there is nothing more empowering than reclaiming that. Next, we're going to talk lab scans and what to actually ask for. So, this is about strategy because knowledge without action, well, it's just noise. And I want to arm you with the actual tests that can help uncover what's really going on inside your body, especially when it comes to your bones and your joints. Start with the DEXA scan. It's the gold standard for measuring bone mineral density. And if you're in menopause or even perimenopause, you should definitely have one on record, period. But don't stop there. Ask for a comprehensive hormone panel that includes estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, and DHEA. These all influence bones, muscles, and inflammation levels. Most standard tests skip this half altogether, so you do need to ask specifically for it. Also, request vitamin D or 25 hydroxy because without enough of this, your body can't absorb calcium efficiently. Calcium and parathyroid hormone, or PTH, these indicate how well your body regulates and uses calcium. And then high sensitivity CRP, or C reactive protein, this shows your level of systematic inflammation. And then if it's available, look into NTX or CTX markers, which assess bone turnover activity. Now, if your provider resists or says, oh, that's unnecessary, you have two options. Ask why, or find a provider who treats you like a partner and not like a problematic person. Because listen, you're not a nuisance for asking for real responses or for asking questions about what's actually happening in your body, right? You're not being too much for actually wanting more clarity, right? This is your body, this is your bones, this is your future mobility, and you deserve more than a shrug and vague advice, right? The better your data, the smarter your decisions, period. And the more equipped you are to not just survive menopause, the better equipped you are to survive it, to thrive through it, rather. Now, the next part here and the final one in this section is what the emotional cost of not knowing is. So let's step out of the science for a moment and into the emotional reality because look, data is powerful, but it's not the whole story. You know, I've worked with women who look strong on the outside, but were silently feeling like they're falling apart inside. Not because they're weak or broken, but because they were only told half of the truth about menopause. They don't know what it does to the body, especially the bones and joints. And there's a deep emotional toll to that comes from waking up stiff, aching, or fragile in the body that you used to trust. See, many women describe it as being like a betrayal, like their strength just slipped away without warning. And then when they finally ask for help, they're met with dismissal or worse, a condescending, oh, that's just aging. But this is not just aging. Again, it's hormonal, it's structural, and it is real. And no one told you that losing estrogen affects your grip strength, your posture, your spine and coordination, even your confidence in your own balance. And when that awareness is missing, it creates fear. It creates self doubt. And you start to avoid activities that you used to love, like lifting your grandkids, going on hikes, dancing at parties, not because you want to stop, but because your body doesn't feel like it belongs to you anymore. And that is the true cost of silence. But here's the truth. You're not weak. You're not imagining it, and you're definitely not alone. Because when you understand what's happening inside, you can start to feel stronger on the outside. And that emotional shift, well, it's often the first step towards healing. And then it's all about integrating it all. So look, let's take a deep breath and pull all this together, right? Because when it comes to thriving through menopause, knowledge without integration, again, it's just noise. So here's what we've uncovered. Your bones are living, responsive tissue. Estrogen keeps the balance between bone breakdown and rebuild. Inflammation sparked by hormonal shifts is a hidden driver of joint pain. Resistance training isn't optional, it is essential. And you have every right to request the tests that give you real answers. And yes, the emotional cost of not knowing is just as real as the physical symptoms. Understanding these truths is what shifts you from surviving to thriving. It's what turns random symptoms into recognizable patterns, and it's what arms you with the language and the clarity to advocate for yourself like never before. Because this isn't about becoming a bone expert, right? It's about becoming the expert in you, your body, your needs, your plan. And if you're still here, it's not just because you're curious, it's because you're ready. You're ready to stop feeling like your body is a mystery. You're ready to trade confusion for clarity and ready to take action. And that's what the next segment is about. So, up next, we're going to explore the how, what to eat, how to move, what strategies actually support long term joint and bone health without the fluff, without the flair or the fads. You're tuning in to the Mr. Menopause Show live on Bold Brave TV. Again, I'm your host, Tafiq Akhir, Mr. Menopause here. And the most impactful part of this conversation is just ahead. So, stay with me.
Take a moment to subscribe for expert tips, real talk, and no fluff support. Brought to you by Mr. Menopause himself, Tafiq Akhir, a certified award-winning menopause strategist, best-selling author, speaker, and the host of the Mr. Menopause Show, streaming weekly on Bold Brave TV. Have you subscribed yet?
Welcome back to the Mr. Menopause Show. And I'm your host, Tafiq Akhir. And if you stuck with me through segments 1 and 2, then by now you understand just how deeply menopause can impact your bones and your joints. And more importantly, why so many women feel blindsided by those changes. And if you're just tuning in, welcome. I highly recommend circling back to the first half of this show when you get the chance, because everything that we've covered today builds on a simple but powerful truth. Menopause is not just about hormones. It's about how those hormones impact your entire body, including your bones, your joints, and the way you move. This isn't just a conversation about aging. This is about your independence, your vitality, and your ability to live life on your own terms. It's about empowering yourself with knowledge that most women are never given, because both fractures, joint pain, and loss of mobility, well, they're not inevitable, right? They're just signals. And today, I just want to help you to actually decode those symptoms, those signals a little bit, and just understand how you can take real action. No confusion, no fear, just straight up strategy. Now, in this segment, I want to shift gears because we've covered the why. Now let's dive into the how. How can you protect your bones? How can you ease joint pain, improve mobility, and feel stronger, steadier, and more in control? Because again, here's the truth. I say it all the time. Most women were never given clear answers about menopause or given a clear plan. They've been told to be careful, to slow down, or to just accept it, but not how to fight back, not how to support their body in a meaningful way. So today, I'm giving you exactly what should have been handed to you the moment that menopause symptoms began. And this is what I call the Mr. Menopause Approves 5-step plan to bone and joint health during menopause and beyond. This is your actionable, no fluff, expert backed guide to staying strong, steady, and supported in your midlife body. Because when you understand what your body needs and how to give it the right support, well, everything changes. So let's dive in. First, you want to move with intention, with strength training and functional fitness. And we're starting with this because this may be the most powerful, underused, and misunderstood tool for bone and joint health. Strength training. And let's be honest, for decades, women have been told to just stick with cardio, to keep things light, to avoid bulking up. And let me say this clearly, that advice has done more harm than good because the number one physical input your bones respond to is mechanical load. And when you lift weights, when you push, pull, squat, hinge, or press, you are sending a message to your bones stating, I still need you strong. And what do your bones do when they get that message? Well, they adapt, they rebuild, they reinforce. They don't just sit there, right? They don't just degrade themselves. Excuse me. They don't just degrade themselves unless you're not doing the things that you're supposed to. Now, look, this doesn't mean that you need to be deadlifting 200 pounds, right? It's not about that. It's about just using resistance. Your body weight, bands, dumbbells, even water bottles can challenge your muscles in a way that activates bone building. Now, here's the key though, it has to be progressive. So start small. Don't stay there, add reps, add resistance, and then time over tension, right? And then focus on movements that challenge multiple joints like squats, lunges, rolls, and presses. And if you don't know where to start, a certified menopause movement specialist like myself can help you to create a plan that matches your body's needs and your current ability. And again, let me be clear, movement is medicine, not just for your bones, but for your joints as well, for reducing inflammation also, for improving balance, for increasing confidence. You don't have to move perfectly, you just have to move with purpose. Step two is to fuel like you mean it, nutrition for bone and joint support. Now let's talk about food, not dieting, not restriction, but fueling your frame. What you eat has a direct impact on your bone density, your joint lubrication, your inflammation response, and even your pain levels. Now, here's what matters most. Calcium and vitamin D. Yes, these are basics, but not always done correctly. Calcium needs a range from 1,000 to 1,200 milligrams daily, but timing and absorption also matter. Do not take calcium with caffeine or iron. They actually interfere with uptake. Vitamin D helps calcium get into the bones. Aim for 800 to 2,000 IUs a day and check your levels via blood work. Magnesium, K2, and boron. See, most people miss these, but they are critical. Magnesium helps convert vitamin D into its active form. Vitamin K2 helps shuttle calcium into your bones and out of your arteries. Boron helps to preserve estrogen levels and supports bone growth. Anti-inflammatory foods are great too for joint pain. So you want to focus on omega-3 foods like wild salmon, flax seeds, walnuts, colorful fruits and vegetables that are rich in antioxidants. Olive oil, turmeric, ginger, all natural anti-inflammatories, right? Now what you want to reduce is sugar, processed foods, and alcohol because they increase systematic inflammation, which worsen joint pain. And don't forget hydration. Your joints need fluid. Your cartilage needs lubrication because dehydration equals stiffness. Now, step three is about flexibility, balance, and low impact recovery. See, it's not just about pushing hard all the time, it's about moving smart. Joint pain and bone loss don't mean to stop moving. They mean to move with more support, to try adding these actually things to your routine to help. Yoga and Pilates for core strength and joint mobility. Tai Chi for balance and fall prevention. Foam rolling or gentle stretching. This helps with connective tissue and also with breaking up your fascia if it's tense and broken up and tense and tight rather. Now, even look, just even 10 to 15 minutes a day can actually be dramatically make a dramatic improvement in reducing stiffness, improving circulation, restoring confidence in your movements, and just getting you more limber and moving again. And let me say this also, if you stop exercising out of fear, again, you're not alone, but the longer you stay there, the more your body is going to adapt to that stillness and that stiffness. And again, that's going to wear down on your bone and joint health. Step four is about medications, supplements, and hormone support. Now, look, I am not anti medicine or pro medicine. I am pro informed choice, right? I want you to be informed about what your options are. Now, there's hormone replacement therapy or HRT. Now, this has been shown to preserve bone mass and reduce risk of fractures during menopause for menopausal women. And it's not for everyone, right? But if you are a candidate, it can be a powerful tool. So, talk with a hormone literate provider, not just a GP who says that they know something about menopause. If you've seen my very first episode here, I shared the 5 questions that you must ask your doctor about menopause, and the first is about their menopause education. If you have not gone to episode 1 on Bold Brave TV of the Mr. Menopause Show, please do get those 5 questions so that you know for sure that you're with a provider that can actually help you, right? And then there's bisphosphonates, right? And those are things like Fosamax or Boniva, right? And these are actually used for severe osteoporosis, right? They slow bone loss, but don't rebuild bone. This may be effective short term, but can come with some side effects. And then, of course, there are supplements like calcium citrate or calcium hydroxyapatite, right, for better absorption. And then there's, of course, vitamin D3 with K2, though, because again, that helps with absorption. Magnesium glycinate and or malate, which is gentler on the stomach, right? Collagen peptides to support joints and connective tissue as well. There are many different options that you have for supplementation. And then, of course, omega-3s for inflammation. But remember, supplements are supportive. They don't replace movement or food. Step 5 is mental health and motivation, the emotional connection here, though, right? Now, this part doesn't get talked about nearly enough. When your body hurts or you're told it's just aging, right? It takes a toll on your confidence, your identity, and even your motivation to take care of yourself. So let me say this clearly. You are not a burden. You are not broken. You are not too late, right? What's happening in your body is real, but so is your power to shift it. Start small, be consistent, celebrate progress, get support, find community, and stay curious. You know, I've seen women in their 60s start lifting for the first time and regain bone mass. I've seen women reverse chronic joint pain. I've seen women get their lives back, not through magic, but through momentum. And you can be one of those women, right? Now, as we move for the path forward, let's recap your bone and joint strategy, right? And this is about supporting your joints. So you want to prioritize strength training at least 2 to 3 days per week. You want to eat for bone density and joint health, hydrate, move daily, sleep deeply, and consider hormone support or supplements with guidance, of course. You want to build a care team who listens, who educates, who respects your goals. But most importantly, don't wait. The best time to start protecting your bones was 10 years ago, but the next best time is today. You deserve to move with confidence. You deserve to feel strong, and your bones and joints deserve the same level of attention and care that you give everything else in your life. You are, listen, you are your own best ally, right? You have to stand up and stick up for yourself. Me as a guide and ally, I'm here to support you and to give you the tools to help you do that, but you have to take those steps, right? And every step is needed in order to get to where you want to be, right? So I want you to know that you have all the tools right in front of you to get started. Start again small. And if you want to start with supplementation before you go to hormone therapy, again, do all of these things along with a provider who is educated in hormone health specifically and specifically for menopause as well. Now, once again, you have been tuning in to the Mr. Menopause Show, airing live on Bold Brave TV. I'm your host, Tafiq Akhir, Mr. Menopause here. And if today's episode resonated with you, I want you to share it with someone that you care about that needs to know this information, because knowledge isn't just shouldn't be rare, right? What I'm sharing shouldn't be news or new to people. Menopause has been around forever, right? So it shouldn't be this difficult, but for some reason, for many women to get this information, it is. So I'm hoping that this information is helping you to thrive better and to feel more confident in what your menopause journey could actually be, right? Because being unhealthy, that should not be the standard, right? Being healthy and thriving should be what we move for moving forward. Now, before we wrap completely, I don't want you to forget that next up, I'm going to be answering your questions in the bonus segment here called Ask Mr. Menopause. So stick around for that right after this next break. And look, coming up next week, we're going to be diving into menopause and cognitive health, right? So we're going to be talking about brain fog, memory lapses, and how to protect your mental sharpness through every stage of this journey. Now, again, you've been tuning in to the Mr. Menopause Show, airing live on Bold Brave TV. Once again, I'm your host, Tafiq Akhir, Mr. Menopause here. And if today's episode resonates, again, please share it with someone that can use it, because knowledge is power, right? And power is what you need in order to thrive and survive through every stage of menopause, peri-menopause itself, and even post-menopause. Now, we're going to be coming up with Ask Mr. Menopause right after this.
Clients are raving about Tafiq Akhir, widely known as Mr. Menopause, for helping them manage menopause and healthy aging with confidence, grace, and complete autonomy. Don't just take my word for it, listen for yourself.
You don't have flashes, Tafiq. I don't have hot flashes. That's crazy. Isn't that great?
I have diabetes. My A1C, which is the amount of sugar you have in your blood over a 3-month period, was an 8.6, which is horrible. It's just really, really awful. And so I went to the doctor like a week and a half after the 8-week program, and it was a 5.6. Now that's better than normal people have. My doctor took me off medication. It's just crazy.
I sleep better, absolutely. I have a lot more energy during the day.
I highly recommend it for those who are struggling with weight loss, obesity, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, high blood sugar, because my numbers have come down.
My back got lift. I have a little bit of abs, and my arms looks great.
Tafiq is very motivational. He sends daily emails. He's available if you have any questions.
It's just a great program. Excuse me. He just changed my life. He just gave me a life back that I just didn't think I could have, and I'm so grateful for him. And he dedicated 100%, 125% to us.
Feeling inspired? Take the first step to menopause empowerment. Complete the free Menopause Readiness Quiz at menopausereadinessquiz.com to see if one of Tafiq's programs can help change your life. You deserve support. You deserve to thrive. Complete the quiz today.
Welcome back to the Mr. Menopause Show on Bold Brave TV. I'm your host, Tafiq Akhir, and this is one of the most powerful parts of our time together, Ask Mr. Menopause. Now, these are real questions from real women just like you who are navigating menopause with strength, with curiosity, and the desire for real answers and not brush-offs or outdated advice. Now, if you've got a question that of your own, please head over to askmrmenopause.com because your voice matters, and I just might answer yours in a future episode of the show. Now, if you are interested in getting a question answered live on the show, please feel free to call in right now at 1-866-451-1451. That's 866-451-1451. In the meantime, I'm just going to answer some questions that I did receive via email. Now, this question is from Danielle in Richmond, Virginia, and she asks, why do I feel like my joints ache all the time now? It started around the same time my periods became irregular. Well, Danielle, you're not imagining it, right? Joint pain is one of the most under-recognized symptoms of perimenopause and menopause. And as estrogen drops, as I mentioned earlier, inflammation increases and collagen production declines, which means that your joints lose lubrication and support. Now, this can lead to stiffness, pain, even decreased mobility. But the good news, though, is that anti-inflammatory foods, proper hydration, movement, they can all help, as I mentioned earlier. And we've covered all of this. But the thing is, I always say that having information is one thing, but actually implementing the information is another. So that's where you may want to consider adding those things. And again, start small. Start with one thing. Maybe start with food this week, then movement next week, and then maybe supplementation the week after that. Don't try to do everything all at once because it can be overwhelming, and anything that's overwhelming is going to be harder to get through. Now, this next question comes from Alicia, and Alicia is sent her message from Phoenix, Arizona. Now, is it true menopause can cause bone loss if you've always been healthy? Okay, now again, this is yes, Alicia, absolutely. Bone health isn't just about past habits, it's also about hormonal shifts, as we've talked about. Estrogen plays a key role in maintaining bone density, as I've mentioned. Once the levels drop, your bones start to lose that mass much faster, even if you've always eaten well and stayed active. But again, don't panic. It's never too late to protect and rebuild. The earlier you start, the better the outcomes. But that does not mean that starting late means that you're not going to get any help whatsoever. So again, a lot of the things that women have been doing over the years, like the drastic dieting, the high intensity interval training workouts, all those things your body was able to respond to more in your 20s and 30s because your body was in that state where you had strong levels of estrogen, progesterone, and more testosterone as well, because women do have testosterone, by the way. So you're able to get through those things. So now what you want to do is focus on the things that are actually going to improve those things. All the things that I mentioned in this episode, if you're not doing those specific things, those are the things you want to start doing. And if you are doing them, again, like I said, there's progression. Maybe you just need to be doing more of those things now because your body adapts and changes. So don't always think less is more. Sometimes doing more is more if you've already been doing the same thing, because your body gets used to those things. So you want to adapt to what your body is going through. I want to check to see if we have any questions. I do not see anything coming in as of now. So we're going to keep on going with the questions that came in. Now, this one comes from Linda in Chicago. And also, let me just say, I'm not sure if it was from the live or from the replay, but I got a ton of Ask Mr. Menopause questions last week. So please keep them coming. I love responding to you. I know that some people don't like to go on live and share their private information or share who they are, but it's easy to get this information to me via askmrmenopause.com if you want your questions answered online without having to come online. Now, again, this is from, Linda from Chicago. And Linda said, I've heard that lifting weights helps bones, but I'm 62. Is it safe for me to start now? Okay, so Linda, it's not just safe, it is essential. And guess what? I've worked with women in their 60s, 70s, even 80s who started strength training for the first time and improved their bone scan. So start light, go slow, and focus on form. Now, if you can afford to, please work with a menopause informed trainer if you can, or just a personal trainer in general, but be sure to let them know that you are focusing on strength, not bulking muscle, but making your muscle more dense, right? That you're not trying to do things that impede your joints and things like that. This is why it's important as you get older to work with a menopause informed trainer or a menopause certified trainer, because most personal trainers go through what's called sports nutrition or exercise programs that focus on how like bodybuilders and athletes work out. You want someone who's focusing on increasing strength, mobility, balance, flexibility, and core stability as well. So again, your bones, like I said, your bones don't care about your age, right? They just care about the message that you're sending them. And what you want to send them is stay strong. And you want your joints to stay limber and strong as well. Checking questions. All right, my next questions comes from Gloria. Oh, Gloria, right here in Oakland, California. Nice. So do I need to take calcium supplements or can I get enough from food? All right, well, this is a great question, Gloria, because ideally food first. Leafy greens, almonds, fortified plant milks, and sardines with bones. Yes, really. They're great sources, right? But many women don't need supplementation, especially during and after do need supplementation. Did not mean many women do need supplementation because look, our food supply does not have the nutrients that it once did because of all the, processing and the different farming practices. So we do need a lot of supplementation in order to fill in the gaps that our food is not getting for us. So you want to focus on calcium citrate. This is going to help for better absorption. And then of course you want to pair it with vitamin D3 and K2 to ensure that that is going to your bones and not just into your arteries. That's another thing. You want to make sure that the things that you're consuming are actually being absorbed and used for what they're supposed to be used for. That's why making sure that certain supplements are done together helps with absorption and actual bioavailability, and eating supplements with certain things can actually prevent them. So knowing that information is extremely important in order to get the benefits that you need from your supplements that you are taking. Now, I am going to check again. I think we're going to do 2 more questions, and then we will call it a day if I do not have any live questions come in. Now, this question comes from Nadine in Atlanta, Georgia. And she says, how do I know if joint pain is from menopause or something more serious? Now, Nadine, I am so glad that you asked this, because if your joint pain began around the same time that hormonal changes happen, it isn't just tied to injury or autoimmune history. Menopause is likely the contributor. Again, you want to think about the times that it happened. This is one of the reasons why when women start going into menopause, the first thing I tell them to do is track your symptoms. Make sure you keep a log of what symptoms you had, when they began, what you were doing, so that you know what you can tie them to and what you can actually think of that could be the first things that you need to adjust or modify to see if those things could help or if they hinder. But look, don't guess. Get it checked out. That's the most important thing, right? You want to ask for inflammation markers, hormone panels, and consider a bone density scan. Like I've said before, pain is a signal, not a nuisance. Your body is asking you for support. It's just whether or not you're going to listen to it, right? Now, this is going to be the last one that I have here, and this is from Marina in Denver, Colorado. She says, can yoga and stretching really help my joint pain, or is that just a myth? Well, no, it's not a myth, Marina. Yoga and gentle mobility work reduce stiffness, improve range of motion, and help you reconnect with your body. It's especially helpful when inflammation or fatigue makes high-intensity movements feel like too much. So start with 10 to 15 minutes a day, and it's a game changer, not just for pain relief, but for your mental calm as well. Now, look, that wraps up this week's Ask Mr. Menopause. And if these questions resonated with you, I just want you to know you're not alone. You're part of a community of empowered women rewriting what it means to move through menopause with strength and support. And again, if you have a question of your own, submit it anytime at askmrmenopause.com to join the conversation. And don't forget, next week's episode is all about cognitive health during menopause. And yes, we are talking about brain fog, forgetfulness, and what's really going on in your mind when your hormones are shifting. It is going to be enlightening, relatable, and packed with science and solutions. Until then, I'm Tafiq Akhir, Mr. Menopause here. This is the Mr. Menopause Show, streaming on Bold Brave TV, reminding you support is not a luxury, it is a right. Until next time, stay safe and be well.
Thanks for watching the Mr. Menopause Show, airing weekly on Bold Brave TV, where real talk meets real solutions for women navigating menopause and healthy aging. Be sure to subscribe, share this episode with someone who needs it, and explore more expert support at MrMenopause.com. Your health, your power, your time is now.